cause of pollution in our rivers, followed then by road runoff. So I feel like you can get quite despondent and feel like nothing is happening, but I think it's important to recognise how far we've come in the last 5 years or so. So 5 years ago, did you ever hear about rivers on the news? Hardly ever, and now they're in the news every week. 5 years ago, water companies didn't have to publish the results of how many raw sewage spills they're putting in the river, and now they have to publish that not only every year, but they have to do it live within an hour of the spill starting. 5 years ago, there were no river bathing waters in the whole country, despite our neighbours like France having over 400 river bathing water sites. Now we've gone up, just last week, we've gone up to, I think it's 19 across the whole country, so that is an improvement. And also, through the work of campaigning, through the work of people like yourselves, there are now laws that are written into the Environment Act which force water companies to reduce those sewage spills and to monitor waterways upstream, downstream a lot more closely, and put a duty on the water companies to clean up the rivers. However, it's not enough. I think we all know that, and I think it needs to go a lot further. And I think what a lot of people are asking are, what can I do as a citizen, as a resident? It can feel a bit helpless, but there are an awful lot of things you can do to protect and improve our rivers. So the first one I'd like to say is, first of all, inform yourself, check out the most recent data on the river. We've just launched a thing that will help you do this called the Oxford Rivers Portal, that will tell you live whether there's been a sewage spill, and it will tell you live the levels of bacteria at Port Meadow and at Wallingford. So that can help you if you're thinking of going for a swim or going for a kayak or a paddle. We obviously want to roll that out so there's bacteria tested at lots more places along the Thames, but it's a start. Secondly, really importantly, if you see pollution, report it to the Environment Agency. Even though they're understaffed, underfunded, and they don't attend as many pollution incidents as they should, we still need to be reporting this pollution and logging it. So that's things on the worst end, like dead fish, but even if it's the river just looks like a different colour, it smells off, report that. It's 24 hours a day, 0800 80 70 60. Then coming on to the water company, complain to Thames Water. They actually have a score that's based on customer satisfaction, and they lose money. It affects their bottom line if more people complain. They have a penalty. So if you're unhappy about the state of your rivers, complain. And then I think really importantly, we've got an opportunity at the moment to vote for rivers and to bring in some real improvements, and we've got maybe 6 weeks to make this happen. Keir Starmer, in his first speech to the nation at the beginning of the election campaign, mentioned sewage pollution. Labour need to make good on that promise. And what I would like you to do is, if a candidate turns up on the doorstep, is ask them, what is Labour's actual plan to change the amount of sewage pollution and other pollution going into our rivers? And I'd ask them if they will fund our regulators more. The Environment Agency have had their funding cut 50% over the course of the last government, in the course of the last 14 years. I'll let you work out who's been in power during those 14 years. So yeah, we need money, we need better regulation, we need to enforce the law that is already there. We need bigger penalties for the water companies if they do not do what they have promised. At the moment, Thames Water have delayed something like 150 of their promises that they were meant to deliver between 2019 and 2020 and 2025. They decided we're just going to delay them, we're going to do them 2025 to 2030. At the moment, their plan is to have sufficient bathing water quality in 2029 at Wolvercott. This is absolutely unacceptable. If water companies do not deliver on their promises, they need to be fined a bigger proportion. They need to have proper penalties put on them. And there are more penalties coming in, but we need them to be bigger. So yeah, I would ask that of any candidates. I would also ask them if they're going to bring forward transparent data, so the water companies can't hide behind, and the Environment Agency can't hide behind, walls where they can hide their data away. Data on the quality of the rivers, water companies have a lot of this data, how their sewage treatment works are operating, the quality of the river that the sewage is going into. We need all that data to be transparent to citizens. Anything else? Oh yeah, and also the solutions, they're not all about pouring concrete. At the moment, Thames Water say they want to put ultraviolet treatment on some sewage treatment works upstream of Oxford. Okay, good, that might help the swimmers, but that's not going to help the rest of wildlife as well. We need nature-based solutions, so things like constructed wetlands. So wetlands are incredible at improving the water quality. So if you had the effluent of a sewage treatment works going through a wetland, that water stays in the sunlight, it gets rid of loads of the bacteria, gets rid of loads of the chemicals, and we could spread that out over a much bigger area. And also things like making sure that our rainwater doesn't go into our sewers as much, soakaways, sustainable drainage, reed beds in our rivers, loads of stuff we can do. And yeah, I think that's me nearly done, but if you want to get involved, there's so many people here, so many stalls, different ways to get involved. You could get involved by signing petitions, you can get involved by testing your local water quality, you can get involved by checking out your local planning applications and if the water infrastructure is up to scratch for those. You can get involved by dressing up as a giant poo and floating coffins in the river. There's lots of ways to get involved. We would love to have you on board with this movement, and yeah, please stick with us, and hopefully in 5 years' time when we won't need to be here again because our rivers will be on the way to being healthy and clean again. Thank you very much.